Ever feel like all your stuff online, it's just kind of scattered everywhere, like a million apps, websites, all asking for your info, your passwords. Passwords, right?
Yeah, it's a jungle out there.
Total jungle. So what if you could like build your own little secure fortress, take back control? Well, that's where Vaultwarden comes in. Today, we're diving deep into this whole self-hosting thing. Is Vaultwarden the answer to your password prayers? Let's find out.
I've spent a lot of time in the open source world, and honestly, Vaultwarden's got people talking.
For good reason.
Right. I mean, this thing is tiny.
Sure.
Imagine running your password manager on something smaller than a deck of cards, less power than a light bulb. That's Vaultwarden crazy lightweight.
Absolutely. Perfect for anyone who likes to tinker. Got an old Raspberry Pi gathering dust. Boom, give it a new life as your own personal password vault. Love it. But okay, hold on. For those who are new to this whole thing, what exactly is Vaultwarden?
So they call it an unofficial Bitwarden server implementation. Sounds kind of techy, but think of it like this.
Hit me with the analogy.
Okay, you love a certain kind of coffee, right?
Right.
But instead of buying those pre-made cups, you get the beans, you grind them, you brew it yourself. Same great coffee, but you control the process.
Ah, so I'm like a barista of passwords now.
Exactly. Vaultwarden's like the beans in the grinder. You get the same backend power as Bitwarden, but you host it yourself. Your rules.
Okay, I'm kind of liking this barista metaphor, but seriously, why go through the hassle? Why not just stick with the pre-made stuff?
Control, my friend. With Vaultwarden, your data isn't sitting on some company's server. You decide where it goes, how it's backed up. It's like having your own personal vault, but for passwords.
Okay, you had me at personal vault, but isn't this like super techie stuff? Do I need to be a coding wizard to use this?
It definitely helps to be comfortable with, tech stuff, but it's not rocket science. Vaultwarden's actually pretty straightforward to set up, especially if you use Docker.
Docker.
Yeah, it's a tool that makes setting up this kind of stuff way easier. Plus, there's a huge community of people online who can help you out if you get stuck.
Okay, so maybe not wizard level, but definitely got to be willing to roll up my sleeves a bit.
Got it.
What about features, though? If I'm ditching my current password manager, this better be good.
Oh, it delivers. Vaultwarden works seamlessly with all the official Bitwarden apps. So your phone, your computer, whatever you use, it all just works. We're talking Web Vault, two-factor authentication, even workarounds for stuff like emergency access.
Workarounds, huh? So there are some things missing. Don't leave me hanging.
Well, you see, building your own digital fortress, sometimes you got to make some choices. Vaultwarden nails most of Bitwarden's features, but there are a few things, like single sign-on, that it doesn't have.
Ah, SSO, the holy grail of like not having to remember a million different passwords at work.
Exactly.
So for anyone who absolutely positively needs SSO, I guess they're stuck with the paid version of Bitwarden.
Yeah, it often comes down to that trade-off, convenience versus, total control. But you want to know something cool?
Always?
Even without built-in SSO, some Vaultwarden users, they use browser extensions to basically get the same thing. These extensions, they grab your logins right from your Vault. Pretty neat, huh?
That's the beauty of open source, right? People are always finding clever workarounds. Okay, but let's shift gears a bit. We've talked about what Vaultwarden is, what it can do, but who is this really for?
Okay, picture this. Someone who really, really cares about their privacy online. They love tinkering with tech. Maybe they've even got a server running at home just for fun. This is their dream password manager.
So we're talking like the DIY crowd, privacy focused, maybe a little bit techie.
Yeah, definitely. But, you don't have to be a coding whiz to use Vaultwarden.
Right, you mentioned that earlier.
That community we were talking about, they've created tons of resources like step-by-step guides, even scripts that'll practically install it for you.
So it's like having a tech-savvy friend walk you through it. That's pretty cool. But let's be real, are there any times when someone should just, steer clear of Vaultwarden?
Oh, for sure. If you're a big company, hundreds of employees, you need things like SSO, really specific access controls. Vaultwarden's probably not the best choice.
Right, you're going to need something a little more heavy-duty.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But for everyday users, small teams,
Yeah.
especially those who value privacy and control, Vaultwarden's a winner.
Totally. And you know what else is cool? Just digging through their docs, it's clear they really care about real-world use. They even have a whole section on running Vaultwarden on Azure web apps.
Oh yeah, they even address some weird compatibility issues with Azure. Super helpful.
It's those little things that make a difference, Shows they're really thinking about their users. And speaking of details, remember how we talked about Vaultwarden being super lightweight?
Yeah.
Got me thinking about security. Could being leaner, could having less code actually make Vaultwarden more secure than the official Bitwarden server?
That's a really interesting point, and it kind of gets to the heart of good cybersecurity. The smaller the attack surface, the fewer places for, the bad guys to get in.
Right, like it's easier to defend a small cabin than a giant mansion.
Exactly. Fewer windows, fewer doors to lock.
Yeah.
But with code, it's like fewer lines of code, fewer potential weak spots.
So less code, fewer vulnerabilities, tighter security. It sounds almost too good to be true.
Well, it's not quite that simple. I mean, a
Yeah.
smaller code base definitely helps, but security, it's a complex thing, right? You still need those good security practices. You got to keep everything updated, and you always got to be on the lookout for new threats.
So it's not just about the size of your fortress, it's about how well you defend it. Makes sense.
Exactly. And to be fair, both Vaultwarden and Bitwarden, they take security very seriously. They do regular audits. They're transparent about their processes. It's really more about, like, what are your specific needs? What are the risks? And how comfortable are you managing things yourself?
Right, right. So there's no one right answer. It all depends. Okay, but here's another thought. If you're using Vault Warden, you're basically taking your digital security into your own hands, right?
Hmm.
Does that change how you think about your data?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Mm.
I think it does, yeah. When you're the one making those backups, deciding where everything is stored,
Yeah.
it makes it real,
Yeah.
It's not just some abstract thing in the cloud anymore. It's like,
Ugh.
this is my data. I'm responsible for it.
It's like the difference between keeping your cash in a bank versus like under your mattress. Suddenly you're way more aware of it.
Right. And that awareness can be a good thing.
Yeah.
It can make you more careful about what you share online, how you protect your stuff. You just understand the whole digital world a little bit differently.
So it's almost like a shift in mindset, not just a change in software.
Totally.
Wow, that's pretty cool. So Vault Warden, it's not just about managing passwords. It's about taking control of your whole digital life, becoming like the architect of your online world.
I like that, the architect of your online world. And honestly, that's what makes this whole open source world so exciting. Whether you go the Vault Warden route or stick with something else, the important thing is stay curious. Ask questions, keep learning about this stuff, because it's only going to become more important as we go forward.
Couldn't agree more. Big thanks to our expert for taking us on this deep dive into Vault Warden. It's been awesome.
Happy to do it. Always love talking about this stuff.
And for our listeners, we hope this deep dive has given you a lot to think about as you navigate the ever-changing world of online security. Remember, knowledge is power, and the more you know, the better prepared you'll be to make smart choices about your digital life. Until next time, stay curious and stay safe.